I never thought I'd be sitting here telling this story, but sometimes the most painful experiences teach us who's really in our corner. If you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, especially by the people who are supposed to love you the most, then you'll understand. For years, my sister Maddie was the golden child, the star athlete with perfect grades, while I was just, well, Emma, the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who never caused problems. Until suddenly, I became the family thief. Money started disappearing from my parents' wallets, from my dad's desk drawer, from my mom's purse, and somehow, all signs pointed to me. What my sister didn't know when she started this little game was that I'd already installed a small security camera in my bedroom after noticing some of my own things going missing. I never expected that tiny camera would capture the truth that would tear our family apart and then rebuild it stronger than before. If you've ever felt that pit in your stomach when you're accused of something you didn't do, hit that subscribe button. This story might just give you the courage to stand up for yourself when no one else will. Growing up in suburban Chicago, our family looked picture perfect from the outside. My dad, Richard, worked as an engineering manager at a tech firm, while Mom, Diane, taught second grade at the local elementary school. We lived in a comfortable 4-bedroom house with a backyard that hosted countless summer barbecues and 4th of July parties where neighbors would gather to watch fireworks over the lake. From the beginning, my sister Maddie was the star. 3 years younger than me, she somehow commanded all the attention in the room. She was a natural athlete, soccer in fall, basketball in winter, track in spring, and her bedroom shelves sagged under the weight of trophies. My parents never missed her games, rescheduling work commitments and family events to cheer from the sidelines, their faces beaming with pride. I was different, quieter, more interested in books and art than sports. I got good grades, too, but they were expected, not celebrated. Emma's always been self-sufficient, my mom would tell her friends, as if my independence was a personality trait rather than a necessity born from being overlooked. I remember my 16th birthday. My parents had promised a special dinner, nothing extravagant, just the 4 of us at Giordano's, my favorite deep dish pizza place. I'd been looking forward to it for weeks. That afternoon, Maddie's coach called. She'd been selected for a regional all-star team, and there was a celebration dinner that same night. My birthday dinner was postponed without discussion. "We'll do it tomorrow, Em," Dad said, squeezing my shoulder. "This is huge for your sister." I nodded and smiled, swallowing my disappointment as I watched them drive away, leaving me alone with a frozen pizza and a small store-bought cake they'd hastily put on the counter. The next day never came. Something else came up, and then something else after that. Eventually, we had pizza the following weekend, but by then, it wasn't about my birthday anymore. It was just dinner. Things got worse during my senior year of high school. I'd applied to several art schools, including RISD, my dream school. When my acceptance letter arrived, along with a partial scholarship, I was ecstatic. My parents were less enthusiastic. "Art school is expensive, Emma," my dad said during dinner. "And what kind of career will you have afterward? Have you considered state instead? They have a decent graphic design program, and it's a fraction of the cost." Later that night, I overheard them discussing the finances for Maddie's upcoming travel team expenses. Thousands of dollars for tournaments across the country. They never questioned those costs. Despite everything, I loved my family. I went to state, majored in graphic design as suggested, and graduated with honors. I got a decent job at a marketing firm in the city and moved into a small apartment with a college friend. I came home for Sunday dinners and holidays, playing my part in our family dynamic. I bought thoughtful gifts for birthdays and Christmas, always trying to prove my worth in ways that went unnoticed. The grand gesture came last Thanksgiving. My company had given employees holiday bonuses, and I decided to use mine to pay for a family vacation to Yellowstone the following summer, something my parents had always talked about but never prioritized. I'd researched cabins, activities, even the best trails for my dad's amateur photography hobby. I was going to announce it during Thanksgiving dinner, present them with a photo album I'd made showing the cabin and surroundings, with blank pages in the back for the photos we'd take together. But before I could share my surprise, the thefts began. First, it was $60 from my dad's wallet, then $100 from my mom's emergency cash stash in her closet. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. A missing gift card. My dad's rarely used gold cufflinks, a family heirloom. And somehow, suspicion fell on me. The secret that would eventually save me had started innocently enough. A few months earlier, I'd noticed small things disappearing from my old bedroom when I stayed over. A pair of earrings, some makeup, a vintage concert t-shirt. Thinking it might be my mom borrowing things and forgetting to mention it, I installed a small security camera disguised as a phone charger, tucked on my bookshelf with a perfect view of my door and most of the room. I forgot about it until I really needed it. Spring arrived, and with it came my mom's 50th birthday celebration. My parents had decided to host a backyard garden party at their house. Nothing too fancy, just family and close friends, about 30 people in total. I'd taken Friday off work to help with preparations, driving out to the suburbs Thursday evening to stay the weekend. When I arrived, the house was chaotic. Mom was stressed about the flower arrangements, Dad was struggling with stringing up lights in the backyard maple trees, and Maddie was supposedly helping, but mostly texting on the couch. I jumped in, taking over the light installation from Dad, while he moved on to setting up tables and chairs borrowed from the church. "Thank God you're here," Mom whispered when Maddie stepped outside. "She's been impossible all week, so moody and distracted." I nodded sympathetically. At 21, Maddie was in her junior year at Northwestern, playing Division I soccer and, according to our parents, thriving. But something seemed off. She was jittery, checking her phone constantly, disappearing for hours without explanation. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Peeking out, I saw Maddie slipping into our parents' bedroom. She emerged minutes later, quietly closing their door, and tiptoed back to her room. My stomach tightened, but I pushed the suspicion away. Maybe she was just borrowing something. Friday morning, Mom's frantic voice woke me. "Richard, the envelope with the catering money is gone!" $300 in cash, set aside to pay the local deli that was providing sandwich platters, had vanished from her dresser drawer. Dad appeared in the doorway, his face grim. "That's the 4th time money has disappeared in the last month. This has to stop." I joined them, still in my pajamas. "What's going on?" Mom looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Emma, honey, have you taken anything from our room?" The question hit me like a slap. "What? No, why would you think that?" "It's just, things only seem to go missing when you're visiting," Dad said, not meeting my eyes. "I've been here literally 12 hours, I protested, "and I have my own money. Why would I steal from you?" Maddie appeared behind me, her hair perfectly styled despite the early hour. "Maybe you're having money troubles you don't want to tell us about," she suggested, her voice dripping with false concern. "It's okay, Em. We all make mistakes." "I'm not having money troubles," I snapped, "and I'm not taking anything." The conversation ended awkwardly, with Mom writing a check for the caterers instead, and Dad mumbling something about installing a lock on their bedroom door. I spent the day helping with party preparations, the accusation hanging over me like a storm cloud. That evening, as guests began arriving, I overheard my Aunt Cheryl asking Mom if she'd found what was missing. Mom's response made my blood run cold. "No, but we have our suspicions," she said, quietly, with a meaningful glance toward where I was arranging desserts on the patio table. Throughout the party, I felt eyes on me. My Uncle Robert, usually quick with a hug, kept his distance. My mom's best friend Judy, who'd known me since birth, clutched her purse a little tighter when I approached. Somehow, the story had spread. I was the thief, the black sheep, the disappointment. Midway through the evening, I escaped to my bedroom for a moment of peace. I found Maddie there, rummaging through my overnight bag. "What are you doing?" I demanded. She startled but recovered quickly. "Mom asked me to look for her missing earrings, the pearl ones Grandma gave her." "In my bag? Are you serious?" "Well, they're not in her jewelry box, and you were the last one in her bathroom yesterday." Maddie shrugged, her expression innocent but her eyes cold. "Get out," I hissed. "Now." After she left, I checked my wallet. $50 was missing. A hot wave of understanding washed over me. It wasn't just about the money. It was about destroying my credibility, my standing in the family. And it was working. During dessert, Dad clinked his glass for a toast to Mom. Everyone gathered around, champagne flutes raised. I stood at the edge of the circle, isolated by whispers and suspicious glances. "To Diane," Dad began, 50 years young and more beautiful than the day I met her. "You're the heart of this family, the one who keeps us all connected." "Except Emma," my cousin Tyler interrupted with a laugh. "She's too busy connecting with the contents of everyone's wallets." A horrified silence fell. My face burned as all eyes turned to me. "Tyler," his mother scolded, but the damage was done. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked, my voice shaking. Mom stepped in quickly. "Nothing, honey. Tyler's just making a bad joke. Let's move on." "No," I insisted, louder now. "I want to know why everyone thinks I'm stealing." Dad sighed heavily. "Emma, this isn't the time or place." "When is the time? When you've completely destroyed my reputation? When you've told every person I care about that I'm a thief?" Maddie appeared at my side, placing a consoling hand on my arm that made my skin crawl. You're making a scene. If you're having problems, we can get you help." I looked around at the faces of my family and their friends, people who'd known me my entire life, and saw nothing but judgment and disappointment. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I knew what I needed to do. "I'm making a scene?" I pulled away from Maddie's touch. "That's rich coming from the actual thief in this family." A collective gasp rippled through the party guests. Mom's face paled. "Emma, that's enough." "No, it's not nearly enough," I said, my voice steadier now, fueled by months of built-up frustration. "I've been accused of stealing. I've watched all of you look at me like I'm some kind of criminal. I've had enough." Dad stepped forward, his expression stern. "Emma, please, this is your mother's birthday party." "I'm aware," I said, "and I'm sorry, Mom. I wanted today to be perfect for you. I wanted our whole family to be perfect. But I'm done being the scapegoat." I turned to face Maddie directly. "Tell them the truth. Tell them you've been taking things and blaming me." Maddie's eyes widened in practiced innocence. She looked around at the silent crowd, then back at me with tears welling up. "Why are you doing this? Why can't you just admit you have a problem?" "Because I don't have a problem. You do." I pulled my phone from my pocket, and I can prove it. The security camera I'd installed months ago had been my silent witness. After finding my wallet $50 lighter, I'd checked the footage from the previous times money had gone missing. What I saw confirmed my worst suspicions. Last month, when Dad's cufflinks disappeared, I have footage of Maddie entering my room, going through my jewelry box, and planting them in my drawer before finding them later. I swiped through my phone. The $60 from Dad's wallet? The emergency cash from Mom's closet? I have it all. "You've been recording us?" Mom asked, horrified. "In our home?" No, Mom, just my own room, because things kept disappearing and I wanted to know why. I held up my phone. Do you want to see the video from last night? When Maddie went into your bedroom at 2 a.m. and took the catering money? All eyes shifted to Maddie. Her tearful expression hardened into something uglier. "You're lying," she hissed. "You doctored those videos." "The timestamp doesn't lie," I said. "Neither does the bank record showing you deposited $300 cash this morning." I checked her account while she was in the shower. We still shared a family banking app from when our parents had set up our college accounts. Dad looked shell-shocked. "Maddie, is this true?" Before she could answer, I continued, "And it's not just money. The earrings Mom can't find? Check Maddie's soccer bag. The gift card that vanished from Aunt Cheryl's birthday present, used at the Northwestern bookstore under Maddie's student ID." Maddie's face contorted with rage. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Always the responsible one, always doing the right thing. You have no idea what it's like to live in your shadow." The absurdity of her statement struck me speechless for a moment. "My shadow? Are you kidding me? You've been the golden child since the day you were born." "Golden child? Is that what you think?" She laughed bitterly. "Do you know what it's like to have a sister who never makes mistakes, who gets perfect grades without trying, who never got in trouble, never rebelled, never gave them a single reason to worry?" Her voice rose hysterically. "They expect me to be you, and when I can't be, when I mess up or fail or just want to be normal, all I hear is, 'Why can't you be more like your sister?'" The party had gone completely silent. Even the background music seemed to have stopped. "So, you decided to destroy my reputation? Make them think I'm a thief?" I asked, incredulous. "I just wanted them to see you weren't perfect," she said, her voice smaller now. "I didn't think it would go this far." I looked at my parents, standing frozen in shock. "Did you really never consider it might not be me? Did you really think I would steal from you?" Mom's eyes filled with tears. "Emma, we didn't know what to think. Things only went missing when you visited, and Maddie found some of the items in your room. Because she put them there," I exploded. "And you believed her over me without a shred of evidence, without even asking me directly until today." The weight of it all suddenly felt crushing. I looked around at the family gathering, at the faces of people who had so easily accepted that I was capable of theft, of betrayal, and felt utterly alone. "I've spent my entire life trying to make you proud," I said to my parents, my voice breaking, "and it took about 5 minutes for you to believe I would steal from you." I grabbed my purse from the nearby chair. "I'm going back to the city. Happy birthday, Mom. I hope it was worth it." As I walked toward the house, I heard my father call my name, but I didn't turn around. Behind me, chaos erupted. Maddie sobbing, Mom calling after me, guests murmuring in shocked whispers. I made it to my car before the tears came, hot and fast, blurring the familiar suburban street as I drove away from the only family I'd ever known. I spent the weekend in my apartment with my phone turned off, alternating between crying and staring numbly at the ceiling. My roommate Jess tried to help, offering ice cream, wine, even tickets to a concert, but I couldn't shake the hollow feeling in my chest. On Sunday night, I finally turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls, 29 text messages, 5 voicemails. Most were from my parents, apologies, pleas to call them back, assurances that they believed me now. One voicemail was from Aunt Cheryl. "Emma, honey, I'm so sorry. We all are. Please call your mother. She's beside herself." Nothing from Maddie. Monday morning, I called in sick to work and drove back to my parents' house. I needed closure, one way or another. Mom answered the door, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen. She pulled me into a crushing hug before I could say a word. "I'm so sorry," she whispered against my hair. "We should have trusted you." Inside, Dad sat at the kitchen table, looking older than I'd ever seen him. When he stood to embrace me, his hands trembled slightly. "Where's Maddie?" I asked, after we'd settled at the table with mugs of coffee. "At Northwestern," Dad said. "We had a long conversation after you left. She admitted everything." Mom reached for my hand across the table. "She has a gambling problem, Emma. Online betting, mostly sports. She's been losing money for months and was too afraid to tell us." The revelation stunned me. Maddie, confident, golden child Maddie, had been spiraling while maintaining her perfect facade? "She started small," Dad continued, betting on her own soccer games, then other college sports. When she started losing, she doubled down, trying to win back what she'd lost. Classic addiction pattern. "And the stealing?" I asked. "She needed money to place more bets, to try to recover her losses," Mom explained. "When we started noticing things missing, she panicked and pointed the finger at you." "Why did you believe her so easily?" The question that had been burning inside me finally came out. My parents exchanged glances, a wordless communication that excluded me as it had so many times before. "We didn't want to," Dad said finally, "but Maddie was so convincing, and things only went missing when you visited, and then when she found my cufflinks in your drawer." He trailed off, shame evident in his expression. "We failed you," Mom said simply. "We got so caught up in Maddie's achievements, in her seemingly perfect life, that we didn't see what was happening with either of you. We didn't see her struggles, and we didn't appreciate your strength. The validation I'd craved for so long felt hollow now. What happens with Maddie?" "She's agreed to counseling. The university has a program for gambling addiction," Dad explained, "and she's working with a financial advisor to set up a repayment plan for her debts." I nodded, processing this new reality where my sister wasn't the perfect daughter and I wasn't the family disappointment. "There's something else," Mom said hesitantly. "Aunt Cheryl told everyone the truth about what Maddie did, about how we failed you. The family knows." I hadn't expected that. Public acknowledgement of the injustice. It didn't erase the hurt, but it helped. 2 weeks later, I received an unexpected visitor at my apartment. Maddie stood in my doorway, thinner than I remembered, dark circles under her eyes. "Can we talk?" she asked, her usual confidence nowhere to be seen. We sat on my small balcony overlooking the Chicago skyline, an awkward silence between us, until Maddie finally spoke. "I've been seeing a therapist," she said, "twice a week. She's helping me understand why I did what I did, not just the gambling, but making you the villain." I waited, not ready to make this easier for her. "I've been jealous of you my whole life," she continued, "not of the attention Mom and Dad gave me. I know I got more than my share. I was jealous of who you are, how you always seem to know exactly who you are and what you want, how you never seem to need anyone's approval." I laughed, a short, bitter sound. "Are you kidding? I've spent my entire life trying to get their approval, trying to be noticed." Maddie looked genuinely surprised. "Really? You always seemed so self-contained, like their opinion didn't matter to you." "It mattered. It mattered so much. It hurt." Another silence fell, but different now. A silence of recognition, of seeing each other clearly, perhaps for the first time. "I'm sorry," Maddie said finally. "I know that's not enough, but I am truly sorry for what I did to you." It wasn't enough, not yet, but it was a start. Over the following months, our family began a slow, painful process of healing. My parents made efforts I hadn't thought possible, attending my art gallery showing when my work was featured in a local exhibition, calling regularly just to talk, making space for me in ways they never had before. Maddie and I established cautious new boundaries. Our relationship would never be the same, but perhaps it could be something more honest. She was working at a coffee shop near campus to repay her debts and attending Gamblers Anonymous meetings 3 times a week. Small steps toward redemption. As for my grand gesture, the Yellowstone vacation I had planned, I decided to repurpose it. Instead of taking the whole family, I invited Jess and 2 other friends from college. We spent a glorious week, hiking, photographing wildlife, and sitting around campfires under star-filled skies. I sent my parents postcards, but felt no obligation beyond that. It was liberating to plan something just for myself, without seeking approval or validation. The unexpected twist came 6 months after the birthday party confrontation. I received a package from my parents, a small wooden box I recognized from our living room mantel. Inside was my grandmother's wedding ring, a delicate gold band with tiny diamonds that had always been promised to Maddie as the youngest daughter, following some old family tradition. A note accompanied it, in my mother's handwriting. This belongs with someone who understands its true value, not just as jewelry, but as a symbol of integrity and strength. Your grandmother would have wanted you to have it. Love, Mom and Dad. It wasn't about the ring itself, but what it represented, a fundamental shift in how my parents saw me, and perhaps how they saw themselves as parents. The golden child pedestal had been dismantled, making room for a more balanced family dynamic, where both daughters could be seen for who they truly were, flaws and strengths alike. I wore the ring on a chain around my neck, not as a trophy of victory in some family power struggle, but as a reminder that sometimes standing your ground and speaking your truth, however painful, is the only way forward. Looking back now, I realize that what happened with my family wasn't just about theft or jealousy or being believed. It was about being seen, truly seen, for who I am. For years, I'd been defined by what I wasn't. Not the athlete, not the star, not the favorite. The painful events of that spring forced all of us to reckon with the roles we'd been playing and the truths we'd been avoiding. My relationship with my parents has transformed. It's not perfect, nothing real ever is, but it's honest in a way it never was before. As for Maddie and me, we're still finding our way, learning to be sisters without the weight of comparison and competition between us. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that sometimes you have to break something to fix it properly. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and for others, is to stand in your truth, even when your voice shakes, even when it hurts. If my story resonates with you, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who might need to hear that standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. And remember, the people who truly love you will eventually thank you for your honesty, even if it's the last thing they want to hear in the moment. Thanks for listening to my story. I'll see you in the next video.